So once again, thank you for joining us for Uncovering Spiritual Gifts with Sexual Energy. My name is Mish, and joining me today is Jocelyn Silva, sexual empowerment coach and sex educator, where we're going to talk a lot about our spiritual gifts, how we can uncover them, and specifically today, the niches in sexual energy. So focusing a lot on our lower chakras, focusing a lot on Jocelyn's expertise in sexual integrity and sexual authenticity. So the plan of events is essentially just starting out by understanding our sexual energy. What does that mean? How do we harness that? We will go through a few guided meditations when it comes to, sexual embodiment, living in our sexual existence, practicing authenticity, and also some Q&As. I know Jocelyn has quite a bit scheduled for us today, so I'm hoping that we get as much in as possible. With the questions, if you have any questions, we can save those to the very end. I see you, Jody. We can save those to the very end, or if you want to just pop them in the chat, so then that way we can save those towards the end, or if anything comes up throughout the session, we can pull those at that time if they are relevant, or pull them for the very end, especially if they are questions directly towards Jocelyn. So yeah, this is going to be a really exciting meeting. It may last anywhere from like an hour to 90 minutes. So yeah, encouraging you to come on video if you would like. Introducing myself first. I should have done that originally. Hi, my name is Mish. I am a psychic medium. I have the gift of clairvoyance and clairaudience, and I've created the Uncovering Spiritual Gifts group, essentially to bring individuals together who are aware of their spiritual gifts or who are uncovering their spiritual gifts, and to create a space for all of us to come together and connect. And I'm very excited to pass it over to my amazing, wonderful, incredible life partner, Jocelyn Silva, to chat more about sexual energy and uncovering your spiritual gifts.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Nice to meet you all virtually. As Michelle said, my name is Jocelyn Silva. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a sexual empowerment coach, sex educator, full-time digital nomad, first generation Latina. Yeah, those are all my identities. Bisexual, polyamorous, all the things. So I do not want this to be a workshop in which I am talking at you. I would really love for all of you to be engaged. So there are going to be moments where I'm going to be asking questions. So please, if you want to answer the questions, throw them in the chat box so we can actually have a dialogue around this topic. It just makes it a lot more fun when I'm not talking at you. And also it keeps you engaged when you're able to answer along in the chat box. If you feel comfortable with turning on your camera, that's cool. If not, then we can do that in the Q&A if you have any questions for me. So today's topic is very near and dear to my heart, because today's topic is really what helped me marry spirituality with sexuality. Okay. So a little bit about my background. I grew up very Catholic. I wanted to be a nun when I was 16. My boyfriend in high school wanted to be a priest. It was very weird. We would hook up and then I would go to confession immediately. And before we hooked up, we would be like, okay, we're going to do this thing. We have to pray 3 rosaries. We have to make sure we go to confession. We have to make sure that we tell God that we're sorry. And then that's fine. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Dope. Blowjob commence. And then, I would go to confession and tell the priest, poor priest. He was probably like, well, if you stop sucking your boyfriend's dick, you won't have to come to fucking confession so often. But alas, that was my teen years. So my sexuality growing up was riddled with shame, riddled with guilt, riddled with fear of going to hell, fear of judgment, just so much shame, so much shame. And so because of that shame, what do we know about shame? Shame thrives in secrecy, right? So what happened was I started to develop a habit of lying about my sexual habits, lying about my sexual desires, hiding who I was as a sexual person, because I was afraid, because I thought that who I was as a sexual person was wrong, right? And so through a series of a lot of events, I've gotten to the place where I am now. And I feel like this is a topic that a lot of people really don't talk about when it comes to sexuality and spirituality. And that is the topic of integrity and what it means to live a life of integrity and what it means to live an authentic life. Okay. So we're going to hop right into all the things we're going to talk about. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about my story later as it pertains to integrity. Oh, Michelle, can you let me share my screen? So on the share screen button, it should say let our participants, or just host share screen. So just let all participants. Yeah, okay, cool. Perfect. Okay. Alrighty, cool. So everyone could see my screen. Okay, amazing. So let's go ahead and hop right in. So integrity, right? So when you think of the word integrity, what comes to mind? So go ahead and just throw in the chat box, like the first thing that comes to mind when you think of the word integrity, or when you hear the word integrity. Samantha, truth. Keith, honest. Chris, values. Amazing. Let's get a couple more. Paige says loyal. Living it with honesty. Xavier, yes. Let's do one more. Words aligned with actions. Amazing. Awesome. So yeah, when we think of the word integrity, all of these words come to mind. Loyalty, honesty, truth, right? Doing the right thing when no one's looking, words aligning with actions, all of those things, right? So when we think of integrity, we mostly think of it from a moral perspective, right? So there's this book that I love, I quote all the time, and maybe some of you have read it. If you have, let me know. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And in this book, Gay Hendricks talks about integrity, not from a moral perspective, but from a physics perspective. Understanding the definition from a physics perspective literally changed my life and changed my ability to express myself as a sexual person. So when we look at integrity from a physics perspective, right, and we look at self-integrity as well, right? Self-integrity is being honest and truthful with yourself, right? When something is in integrity, it is whole and complete. And the only way in which energy can move freely through an object is when it's in its integrity. Okay. So really think about that. When you're thinking about energetics, right? We're all like spiritual beings. So when you think about like when you're able to really flow, right? You feel openness and freedom, right? In a space or with a person, and that energy is really just going back and forth. Energy cannot move freely if something is not in integrity, right? And so what the fuck does that mean? And we'll go through it a little bit in a bit, but that definition really supported me. So when we think about what gets in the way of integrity, what are some things, if you think about your own life, that get in the way of your own integrity, your own sexual integrity? So your ability to really be like really authentic with your sexuality, your sexual expression, your kinks, your likes and your dislikes. So go ahead and just throw them in the chat box. What are some things that get in the way of us living in our full integrity? Shame, Fern, yes. Performance anxiety, Samantha. What else? Let's do two more. What else gets in the way of living a full, authentic life and a sexual life in integrity? Trauma. Absolutely. Familial societal expectations, gendered expectations. Yes, 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 yes. All of them, right? Judgment. Absolutely. Yeah. So a few of these you have already said, right? So guilt, right? Guilt, shame, fawning, people-pleasing tendencies is a big one. These are all the ones that a lot of my clients have told me that they experience, okay? And I want to talk about a few of these in case some of these really resonate with you, okay? So shame, what is shame? Well, according to Brené Brown, shame is the feeling not of I did something wrong, but shame is the feeling of I am wrong. There is something innately wrong with me, okay? Guilt is the feeling of I fucked up. I did something wrong, right? Fawning, people-pleasing tendencies. I gotta say, this is probably like the number one thing that people come to me for when they're looking for sex coaching is the fact that they're like, I'm a people pleaser, right? I do whatever someone wants me to do. I fawn, right? I forget about myself. I self-abandon to appease the person that I'm with, right? I completely let myself go. Not knowing the truth ourselves. Fawning and not knowing your own truth goes hand in hand, okay? When you are someone that's a people pleaser, when you are someone that self-abandons, right, does what someone else wants to do in sex, right, in anything in life, but today we're speaking specifically about sexuality, but let's say there's a sex act that you don't like, but your partner likes it, so you self-abandon to make them happy, right? You say yes when you really want to say no, right? When you start to do that so often, what tends to happen is that you start to come to a place where you don't even know the truth yourself, okay? Gabor Mate, for those of you who don't know who Gabor Mate is, he's phenomenal. He's a clinician that studies addiction from Canada. And he has developed some studies that actually show how authenticity and living a life in integrity not only is good for your mental health, but actually helps your physiological health as well. So in his studies, he discovered that the more you fawn, the more you people please, the more you self-abandon, that means that you are actually going against your intuition. And what do we know about our intuition? Whenever we say, I had a gut feeling that something was wrong, right? It's because you have brain cells literally in your stomach and your gut feeling is your intuition. And so when you keep ignoring your intuition, right? Your intuition is saying, this doesn't feel right. You keep ignoring it, ignoring it, ignoring it to make everyone around you happy because somewhere along the line, whether it be trauma or somewhere in your life, you learned that if you just shut the fuck up and do what you're supposed to do, life is going to be so much easier for you. The more you ignore your intuition, you're actually attacking your own immune system. Okay? Because again, your gut feeling, your intuition is in your gut, right? When you start attacking your own intuition, when you start attacking your own immune system, this is what leads to chronic illness and to autoimmune diseases, okay? So living a life of authenticity, it sounds really cute, right? Like, oh, live an authentic life, be yourself. It is cute, but there's also some serious like health benefits that come from living a life of integrity and authenticity. This is also why fawning and people-pleasing tendencies go hand in hand with childhood trauma, right? Because the more childhood trauma you have, the more you self-abandon to make others in your life happy, the more that you attack your own immune system, and the higher at risk you are to chronic illness and diseases, right? So this is why I'm flabbergasted that not more people talk about integrity and how it actually can improve your sex life and your life in general. And we'll talk a little bit more about how it actually helps you with arousal as we go a little further in the presentation, but I just wanted to really bring home this point of the importance of integrity. So other things that get in the way, gender expectations, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, right? Like, oh, fuck, what if they don't like me anymore if I say no? Religious, family, and cultural values. First generation Latina here, hello. If there's anyone that knows about this shit, it's me. Miss wanted to be a nun at 16 years old, right? My mom is from El Salvador, my dad's from Mexico, grew up in a Spanish-speaking household, love being Latina. I adore being bilingual and Latina. However, my culture, there's a lot of really rigid expectations when it comes to sex, sexuality, and forgetting about yourself so that you can appease the whole group, right? lack of proper vocabulary. This is actually a pretty big one. A lot of us don't know how to express our sexual desires, right? A lot of us don't even know what the fuck our sexual desires are, right? Sometimes we don't even have the words to say, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. These are my boundaries, right? This is what I don't want to do. This is what feels fucking awesome, right? So the lack of proper vocabulary definitely goes in there. Fear of hurting someone's feelings. I cannot tell you how many of my clients have told me, oh, I didn't want to do this thing, but I really didn't want to hurt my partner's feelings, right? As as Brene Brown says, to be honest is to be kind. Okay, so the more kind you are means the more honest you are. And if we can stop worrying about other people's feelings and really focus on being people of integrity and speaking with kindness when we speak that integrity, that is what's going to bring us to a place of harmony. Because when you lie, when you cheat, when you manipulate in order to appease someone else or in order to spare someone's feelings, that relationship is almost impossible to be able to mend. But when you stand in your integrity and when you're honest, even though you do hurt another person's feelings, even though the other person might actually get really sad or just really upset by what you say, there's always going to be an opportunity for some type of mending of relationship, because guess what? Even though what you said hurt them, they're still going to trust you, right? You're not going to lose that trust. You're going to be like, fuck, I didn't like what you just said, but I fuck with you because you're telling me the truth. And I know that you're going to tell me the truth, even if it hurts me, right? Which is huge, especially when it comes to sexual relationships, right? No emotional safety. This is a really big one, right? Our spiritual self, our intellectual self, and our emotional self all are one in the same, right? They're not separated. I always think it's so funny how, like, the Western world is always like, there's physical health and there's mental health. And I'm like, no, it's literally all together, right? Like when you're stressed out, your hair falls out, your hair turns gray, right? You get really like, your bones start to hurt. Why? Because your body and your mind, your spiritual self and your emotional self are one and the same. So when you don't have that emotional safety to fully express yourself and express your integrity, guess what? Your body is also not going to respond. Okay. And again, we'll talk about the connections between integrity and arousal and spirituality in a minute. Okay. So before we go further, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my story, how I got to where I am now, and why this topic is so important to me. So like I said, I wanted to be a nun when I was 16. And then, I don't know, I did not become a nun. Spoiler alert, that never happened. Thank God. But when I was 18 years old, I left high school and I had sex for the first time with my boyfriend. He lit incense and candles, and we listened to Bauhaus, which is like 80s goth music. It was super cute. The sex itself sucked, but the experience was so beautiful. I swear to God, the angels sang, the skies parted. I was like, who the fuck said sex is bad? This is amazing, right? It was like such a beautiful spiritual experience for me, actually. After that, I rejected the Catholic Church, and for a full 7 years, I became atheist because I thought to myself, spirituality is bullshit, religion is bullshit, God is bullshit, right? I just want to fuck because having sex feels great. Whoever told me sex is bad sucks for telling me that, right? Because I am really, really enjoying this, right? So after those 7 years, what started to happen was when I was 20 years old, I became a sex educator. And even though I was preaching communication, boundaries, honesty, because I had no moral compass, because I didn't have a sense of spirituality, I didn't have a sense of faith, I developed a really terrible habit of cheating on every single person that I dated. I would go behind people's back, cheating, lying, manipulating. I want my cake and eat it too, right? Just constantly doing things that just were not okay. But in my mind, I was justified. I'm young, I'm hip, I'm cute, I'm a Latina, I'm sexually empowered. That's what I said. I'm sexually empowered. I could do what the fuck I want to do. Okay. Well, in 2000, I think 16, whatever, 2016-ish, I think it was 2016, I got married and I went to a therapist and I said, hey, I have a problem with cheating and I really need some help. And she goes, okay. Well, then I had a panic attack in therapy. I stopped going to therapy. 6 months later, I started cheating on my spouse. Not long after that, maybe about 3 months after I started cheating on my spouse, I got caught in one of the worst ways possible. And that threw me into the worst depression of my life. I wanted to kill myself. I didn't want to be alive. It was awful. I was actually put on a 5150 for suicide watch because I thought to myself, who is going to want to love someone who's a cheater? Who is going to love me? The moment people find out the things that I've done, no one's going to care about me. I'm a shell of a person, right? And what really saved my life was the 12-step program, Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. And for those of you that are not familiar with the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program has a very huge emphasis on spiritual awakening and understanding ourselves as spiritual people. And the program actually encourages you to adopt a higher power. So here I am, depressed as all hell, desperate, right? My spouse left me. I'm feeling like a piece of shit. I'm having an awful time in my life. And now you're telling me that you want me to develop like a higher power. Well, out of desperation from where I was, I said, okay, let me try to figure out how spirituality fits into my life as a sexual person. When growing up, right, I was told that sex is bad. The irony, though, is that I was actually expressing my sexuality in a very unhealthy way through lying, cheating, and manipulating, right? So as I was developing this new sense of spirituality, I was divorcing my mind from the God that I was taught in church and really developing a new sense of spirituality for me that is not rooted in rigid laws, that is not rooted in disempowerment, that is not rooted in fear and guilt and shame, but rather is rooted in kindness and honesty and love and respect and, of course, in integrity, right? And when I started going to those meetings, I realized, oh my God, I can be a spiritual person and I could be an ethical slut. I could be an honest hoe. You know what I mean? Like, I can learn how to have sexual experiences that work for me without having to lie, cheat, and manipulate along the way. I can have a relationship with the higher power. I can have a relationship with the spiritual realm of life without feeling stifled and ashamed of my sexuality. And this is when my spiritual self really awoken, was through practicing honesty, integrity, and truth, right? And also through understanding that my sexual expression goes hand in hand with my spirituality. There is no separation. They are literally one and the same, okay? So now I am proudly bisexually open. So I'm bisexual. I'm also proudly polyamorous, right? And I have learned how to live a life of integrity. And I have learned that the moment I am out of integrity, that stifles my energy flow. And when it stifles my energy flow, it's not just stifling it with the people that I have sex with, but it stifles it with the universe. It stifles it when I meet with my clients. It stifles it with my interpersonal relationship. It stifles it with myself. There is no relationship with the universe and myself if I'm not in my integrity, if I'm not being completely honest with myself, if I'm not saying no to the things I want to say no to, if I'm not saying yes to the things I want to say yes to, if I'm not going out of my way to speak my truth, even though it might hurt the people that I love the most. Because I would rather hurt somebody and be upfront and allow for that energy to move freely through us than to lie to them to make them feel better and then stifle energy flow. And boom, once that integrity is gone, there is no more connection with the universe in my experience. Okay, let me know in the chat box if any of this is resonating with you, because I just kind of want to get a temperature check because I'm just like talking at a screen right now. So let me know if any of this is like hitting, if it's resonating. You could just throw a yes or a fuck yeah, or no, I don't get it, but I'm trying to get it. That way I can know where you guys are at. Okay, cool. So much resonating with me. Interesting, very much. Preach. Amazing. Cool. Okay, this is firing me up. Woo! All right. Now, Amazing. So that's a little bit about my story and how I got to where I am now, right? So let's talk about this. How the fuck do we live a life of integrity? And how can this benefit our sexual arousal? And how can this benefit us as a spiritual sexual being? Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and let's talk about that. Okay, so how do we uncover your spiritual gift of integrity and live an authentic life? So let me know in the chat, how many of you have struggled with being completely honest and truthful when it comes to your sexual expression? So go ahead and just throw in the chat box, like, how many of you have struggled with that? If that's something that resonates. Yep, I have. Awesome. C, cool. I have. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, cool. So a lot of you definitely resonate with this, this experience, right? And what this experience can look like is many different things, right? Oh shit, my partner wants to have anal sex. That's not something I'm into, but I'll say yes to appease them, right? Or, oh, for me, for example, when I found out that I was bisexual and Catholic, that's a sin. Oh my God, am I going to go to hell? Okay, let me squash down that part of myself. Realizing that I actually don't like monogamy, right? Having to lie in order to get my way because I didn't have the guts to be really open with my sexuality and my partners. Yes, I struggle with being bisexual too. Thank you for sharing, Dana. Yeah. And so the way that I view integrity is that this is a spiritual gift that you can give yourself. Really think about that for a second. Giving yourself the gift of integrity. Giving yourself the gift of being fully authentic. Giving yourself the gift of living a life that feels like a fuck yes for you, even though to the people around you, they might be looking at you like, what the fuck? And you're like, I don't care because this is a fuck yes for me. Think about what that would look like to give yourself the gift of integrity, right? I have struggled with expressing polyamory as well. Yeah. Actually, I told my mom a few days ago, how would you feel if I come home with 2 partners? And she was immediately like, I don't want that. Like, get that out of my way, right? I went through like all, obviously I cried about it. I journaled about it, blah, 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 blah. I put her in the hands of the universe. I was like, it's okay. I'm going to be fine, right? But the shaming never ends, right? And that's the thing, is that how do you live in your integrity even though you still might get shamed, right? So giving yourself the gift of integrity. So let's talk about that. Integrity opens the gates of arousal. Okay. I cannot tell you how many times I've had clients, and I think that this is a bold statement what I'm about to say, but it feels really accurate. There are 2 main reasons why people come and work with me. 2 main ones. One, because people really struggle with vulnerability, right? And they don't come to me and they say, I struggle with vulnerability, but they'll come to me and say, I'm having trouble with my sex life. And then I say, how comfortable are you with vulnerability on a scale of 1 to 10? And they'll say 2. And I'm like, great, that is where we got to start. We got to start talking about your feelings, right? And the second one is because they struggle with integrity. So let me tell you a story about one of my clients. She came to me because she had really low libido, like hasn't had sex with her husband in like a year. And it was really bad. She was like, I'm tired. I don't understand what's happening. What's wrong with me? My body's not responding. And so I started asking her questions, and she was telling me that she was really depressed, that she was on medication for antidepressants, all of these things. And then she goes, but my husband doesn't know. I said, what do you mean your husband doesn't know? She's like, I've been on antidepressants for a year and my husband doesn't know. And I said, interesting. Your libido went down when you started antidepressants. Now, there are reasons why medication does lower your libido, but I was like, I have a hunch that there might be something else there. And I said, how comfortable do you feel with telling your husband that you're on the antidepressants? And she goes, if I say anything now, it's going to feel like a betrayal and I'm scared he's going to leave me. And I told her, my professional opinion is that you tell him, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to open your heart to him, and it's going to allow space for you to mend. I'm not kidding, y'all. The moment she told him, they started having sex. And it was like, she's like, oh, I have a libido again. And I'm like, yeah, because now you're in integrity and your body, your sexual energy is now open. There's nothing that's getting in the way. And when you think about what is the most vulnerable thing people can engage in? Sex, right? You're exposed, you're naked. I find it so funny, like back in the day when I used to get insecure around dudes that I was like having sex with in my bathing suit, and I'm like, he's seen me in much more compromising positions, right? But in my mind, I'm like, but yeah, I don't want you to see me. You can see me with my butt in the air, but like, don't see me with a bathing suit, right? Why? Because it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable to have sex with someone, right? So when you think about this, if it is the most vulnerable thing for humans to engage in, then of course it's important that we start with that. Okay. So everyone, if you have a paper and a pen, take out a paper and a pen. If you want to do a sticky note on your computer, whatever works best for you. We're going to talk about the different steps of arousal. And I recommend that you write this down as notes. Okay, cool. Okay. So the first step to arousal as it pertains to integrity is vulnerability. Okay. So right now on a piece of paper, I would like for everyone to write one thing that is getting in the way of you living a fully authentic sexual life, standing in your own sexual integrity. So go ahead and write that one thing down that perhaps you've been too afraid to admit to yourself, that you've been too afraid to share with other people. It might even be hard for you to write it now, but I encourage you just to write down that one thing right now. And I'll give you a few moments to do this. What is one thing that you are struggling to admit to yourself, struggling to accept about yourself? Deborah says nothing. I found a partner who loves my bisexuality, my desire for polyamory, who wants to watch everything. Yay, Deborah! Amazing. Congratulations. If you can't think of anything that's getting in the way, perhaps maybe write down something that you're grateful for that allows you to live in your integrity. So if some of you can't think of anything that's really getting in the way, think of something that does support you. So for example, in your situation, it would be your partner, right? Your partner allows you to be in your integrity. So write that down.
To build on top of that, Jocelyn, maybe something that's not allowing you to express yourself in your spiritual gifts. So it could be in sexuality, or it could be even in spiritual gifts, because I know that's something that a lot of people on this call are probably not able to express because there is some sort of fear attached to that. It's just adding that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure all the same things get in the way, right? Judgment, fear of rejection, all of that. Sexual trauma makes being present difficult. Absolutely. I'm grateful for my last breakup. I was 100% transparent with my desires, and he wasn't with it. Our breakup hurt a lot, but now I know it's for the best. Amazing. Hell yeah. Thank you for sharing, Deborah. Yeah, if some of you want to share the things that you're writing down in the chat so that we can all see them, that would be awesome. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, then we would love to hear about them. Fear of transfer, personal interest in polyamory. Okay. So when we are vulnerable, right? What does it mean to be vulnerable? It means to expose ourselves, to talk about the things that perhaps hurt us, to be completely transparent about what's happening inside of us, right? I always think that the definition of vulnerability is hilarious. It's to be susceptible to attack, right? Like, so it's to be like in a vulnerable place. But vulnerability for humans, especially when it comes to emotional vulnerability, is really a super strength, right? Because that's what opens the doors for connection in interpersonal relationships and in our sexual lives. So Xavier says, ongoing communication with myself, journaling, audio journaling, hell yeah. Fern says, struggling to accept my masculinity and polyamory, especially when my previous relationship, but luckily no longer in that place. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Toxic masculinity and body image. Yeah. And I started working with men a few months ago. I used to work only with non-binary individuals and women. And I just opened the doors for men. And it's been really, really such a blessing to be able to work with men who do really deal with that toxic masculinity. And what does it mean to be masculine without the toxicity, right? So thank you for sharing. Paige says body image and insecurity. Samantha says feeling unworthy of gender expression. Ooh, yeah, I hear that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So when we're able to be vulnerable with our thoughts, our feelings, the things that scare us the most, right? When we're able to stand in that integrity, that leads to empathy. And empathy is when we can feel for one another, right? Empathy is when we can look at someone in struggle. We can look at someone in their truth, in their vulnerability, and say, damn, I'm here with you. I hear you. I see you. It's that validation piece. Okay. So everyone, wherever you're at, after you've written down, whether in the chat box on this piece of paper, I would like everyone to just close their eyes for a moment. And we're going to practice some self-validation. So everyone, please put one hand on your heart, the other one on your belly. Just be conscientious of your breath for a moment. Feeling your chest and your belly rise and come down with every breath. And you can either out loud or in your mind tell yourself, I see you. I hear you. I am here with you. And I will always have your back. Just gonna allow for those moments, for those words to land for a few moments. Go ahead and gently open your eyes. Being able to express empathy and compassion with another person starts with being able to express empathy and compassion for yourself. Being compassionate for the things that scare you the most. Showing yourself that empathy, validating your own feelings, validating your own fears, right? The reason why so many of us have a hard time with integrity is because we judge ourselves. That's fucking stupid. Why do I feel this way? Damn, I'm such an idiot. Why did I do it that way? I could have done it this way better, right? But when we have compassion, we're able to look at ourselves and be like, damn, it's okay. I see you. I know that really sucked, but I got you. Because how can you expect for someone to accept you when you don't accept you, right? So really learning how to give yourself that empathy and compassion. And that little practice we did right now is something that you can do at any moment when you feel that judgment arise inside of you. Just close your eyes and give yourself that empathy. The next one is connection. The way that you know you're being vulnerable is because the purpose of vulnerability leads to connection. And this connection could be with anything. It could be with yourself. It could be with the universe. It could be with a flower. It could be with your partner, with your mother, with anything, your sex toy, right? This connection can exist with anything and anyone. And here's the thing about sexuality, is that if your body is not in a full state of relaxation, if you are tense, tight, in a state of flight or fight, your body will not be receptive to arousal. And when you feel connected, when you're vulnerable, when you empathize and you feel connected, that is when your body starts to become heavy. That is when your body starts to relax. That is when you're able to really drop into yourself. That is when you're able to feel yourself, to become attuned with who you are, mind, body, and spirit. That connection piece. So go ahead and throw in the chat box, how do you know when you're connected? What are some signs that you've experienced when you feel connected to spirit, when you feel connected to yourself, when you feel connected to your partners? Synchronicities, Fuck yeah, 1000%. What else? What other signs that shows that you are in connection? Small miracles. I need something and that thing shows up fast. Hell yeah, absolutely. Great communication or honest communication. Absolutely. Feeling light. When we can sit in silence together, yet still want each other in the same room. Amazing. I'm not sure. I have felt very disconnected from myself and from the world around me for over a year now. Thank you so much for sharing, Samantha. I am available outside of this space if anyone would like to talk more. If there's something here that you feel like you'd like to go deeper in, I'm going to give you my information at the end. And I would love to talk more about that with you, Samantha. When I can let go of the tension in my body and the pain goes away and I can feel my heart. Absolutely. Oof. Damn, I'm getting chills with these. Yeah, right. Amazing. These are all signs that each and every one of you have that you feel connected, right? I don't know what's going on, Samantha, but I'm feeling inspired to say this one thing. A lot of the reason why a lot of us feel disconnected is usually because there is a breach of integrity. There is something there that we're not in full alignment, right? So I just really want to encourage you to kind of reflect on that. Like, what are some parts of yourself that you can really like look at and be like, okay, there's some parts of myself that I'm not fully living authentically, and how can I get to that place, right? Because the more you live in that way, the more connected you'll feel. The next one is safety, right? And I'm not talking about like physical safety, right? Like helmet and like kneecaps. I'm talking about emotional safety, intellectual safety, spiritual safety, okay? Again, your body will not be receptive to sexual arousal if it is not in a state of full relaxation. If you are tense, constantly like, what's going on? Am I going to get judged? What's happening, right? Your body won't be able to relax and you won't feel safe enough to fully express yourself in a sexual way. Okay. So now go ahead and throw in the chat box. What are some signs that you know that you are safe? Whether it be with another person, whether it be in a room, or perhaps even another question. So what are some signs that you know that you're safe? And then if that's challenging for you to answer, maybe answer the question, what are things that you need in order to be safe? In order to reach a place of emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual safety. I feel safe when I'm in my partner's arms. Beautiful. I didn't experience safety until this year when I moved into a loving queer and trans co-op and felt empowered to be me and loved for it. Ooh, yes. Queer spaces are so safe. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you for sharing. Let's get a couple more folks participating. If you haven't said anything yet, please, I encourage you to participate. I guess I don't know what that looks like yet. That's okay. Yeah, that's part of your journey. My intuition let me know I'm safe. I need be someone speak their truth, has integrity themselves, feel unsafe someone crosses my boundaries and not honest. Absolutely. Openness. Cool. Yeah, so when someone else is in their integrity and speaking their truth, that allows for you to feel safe in your body, right? Yeah. When the truth naturally comes out and I know that they're safe. Yeah. Beautiful. Amazing. Thank you all for sharing. Great. Discovering the Field app was the first time I ever felt like I had a group of sexually like-minded people that wouldn't judge me for my desires and kinks. Yeah, Field has done me well too. I like Field. Amazing. Thanks, Chris. laughter with each other. Yeah, beautiful. Yay, I love this. Great, yeah. And for those of you that are maybe looking at this and saying, damn, I don't know what safety feels like for you, that's okay. That's part of your journey, right? That's an opportunity for you to really ask yourself, what do I need to feel safe, right? What do I need from people? What do I need from myself to feel safe, right? And last but not least, arousal. That throbbing feeling in your pelvic floor that tells you, oof, I'm turned on. This is feeling hot. This is feeling heavy. This is feeling good. This is feeling pleasurable, right? Now, arousal literally means excitement, right? So when we get to a place of vulnerability, empathy, connection, and safety, this literally opens the doors for arousal. And in a moment, I'm going to be guiding you through an embodiment practice where we're really going to be connecting with that arousal part in our bodies, right? That arousing part in our bodies. And I'll show you some orgasmic breaths that'll help you get there. Okay. But this is important. I have been a sex coach for 3.5 years now, and I'll tell you all this right now. Sex is 20% physical. That's it. Sex is a very, like, our physical parts are just this little compared to the whole cake. 80% of sex, what I've seen, is psychological, emotional, and spiritual. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients come to me and say, there's something wrong with me. I don't have a desire for sex. I have low libido. I don't get wet anymore. I don't have erections. And the moment we go through these steps of arousal, it's literally like a spiritual awakening that my clients go through. When they're like, oh shit, when I'm able to be vulnerable, experience connection, be able to feel safe, empathize with myself and others, you elevate, right? You elevate your energy. You go from shame to enlightenment. You go from guilt to joy, right? And you have that enlightenment because you're in alignment with yourself, mind, body, and spirit. And if there's anything that I find, like, there's nothing that I find sexier in this world than a person that knows how to stand in their full integrity, a person that knows how to stand in that full authenticity, right? All right, so let's put this all into practice. I think we already did this. Okay, cool. We already did this. It's fine. So now we're going to end our workshop with an embodiment practice, and we're going to be doing some orgasmic breaths. Okay. So just so we can practice what these orgasmic breaths look like, we're going to go ahead and do some Kegel or PC exercises. So I want to encourage all of you to go ahead and squeeze your Kegel or PC muscle right now. And if you don't know what that is, it is the muscle that you contract whenever you are stopping yourself from urinating. So let's say you're peeing and you want to stop yourself from peeing, that muscle, that's the one. Okay. So let's go ahead and contract it. Let's go ahead and squeeze and let go. Squeeze and let go a little bit right now. Cool. So everyone can feel a little bit of it. So I'm going to be walking you through a visualization practice where I would like for all of you to really imagine yourself and what it would feel like to live a life of full sexual integrity, authenticity, and freedom. If you're already there, amazing. If you've never experienced that, use your imagination. If you've experienced it in the past, but you're not there right now, go to that place. I like to think of this embodiment practice as a cross between virtual reality and manifestation, right? We're kind of, or like time travel, virtual reality and manifestation, right? We're kind of putting ourselves in these places emotionally and mentally so that we can manifest them into our physical reality. Okay. If you get turned on during this embodiment practice, that is okay. Your arousal is so welcomed. Please do not show us what is going on in video because this is a consensual space. And we have not consented to that. I am there sexually, but I'm not there in terms of artistic expression, but I think they're really, absolutely. Oh yeah, sexual energy is creation, right? Creativity and sexual energy go hand in hand. So if there are other places where you feel out of integrity and you want to really focus on that, then you can do that as well during this embodiment practice. So it's really up to you. Okay. All right, so go ahead and get into a comfortable position. You can lay down on the ground with your belly facing up. You can sit in the chair that you're on, whatever you would like. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera just so I can really focus here on myself and so that you can listen to the sound of my voice and not get distracted. So let's go ahead and begin. I want to encourage all of you to close your eyes, drop your shoulders. Rest your hands on your lap or on your sides. You can do palms facing down in a grounding position or palms facing up in a receptive position, whatever you feel more comfortable with right now. Allow for the space between your eyebrows to relax. Rest your tongue at the bottom of your mouth. Unclench your teeth and relax your jaw. Go ahead and get started by taking some deep belly breaths, breathing in through your nose, expanding your lungs and your belly on the inhale, keeping your shoulders dropped. And then exhaling from your mouth, slowly as if you're blowing out a candle, contracting your belly on that exhale. Breathing in through your nose, expanding your belly. And breathing out through your mouth, contracting. Allow for your body to become heavier with every exhale. And see if you can slow down your breathing by another 15%. Elongating that inhale, elongating that exhale. There's nowhere that you need to be. There's nothing that you need to do. To be in this moment, to breathe, connect with yourself. I want you to think about the words connection, freedom, joy, full, authentic expression. If those words had a feeling in your body, where would you feel it and how would it feel? So perhaps you feel some tingling in your arms. Maybe you feel some heat on your face. Whatever these words feel in your body, go ahead and feel them right now. Joy, authentic expression, freedom. I want you to think of yourself moving in this time-space reality, wherever you are in the world. What would it look like for you to lead a life of full, authentic expression? Who would you talk to? What would you wear? How would you act? Where would you go? What would shift from what your life looks like right now? You can even think of yourself in a sex act, perhaps with someone that's already in your life, or with someone that you'd like to manifest into your life. Imagine yourself feeling connected. Imagine yourself feeling accepted and loved, cared for, empathized with, celebrated for your sexual desires, celebrated for who you are as the beautiful sexual spiritual being. Go ahead and indulge in this feeling of joy, authentic expression. Imagine yourself moving throughout this world in that way. I want to encourage you to go ahead and put your hands on your belly, thumbs on your belly button, fingers pointing down towards your groin. So your hand is making a diamond shape, fingers pointing down, thumbs on your belly button, keeping your eyes closed. And as you're experiencing this joy, this authentic expression, this pleasure, we're going to begin to do some orgasmic breaths. So in a moment, I'm going to encourage you to squeeze your PC muscles on the inhale. You're going to pause at the top and then release on that exhale. And as you're doing this, I want you to keep in your mind an image that brings you joy, that brings you pleasure, that brings you excitement. There is no judgment in this space. There is only love and acceptance. So let's go ahead and begin keeping your hands on your belly, breathing in, expanding your belly, squeezing your PC muscles, pausing at the top, and then releasing on that exhale. Breathing in, squeezing your PC muscles, and then exhaling. Breathing in, squeeze, squeeze, pause, and exhale. Now go ahead and do a few of these on your own, squeezing on that inhale, and then relaxing on that exhale. And if you even feel inspired to, you can even rock your hip bones back and forth, forward and back, as you are breathing in and out, just awakening this beautiful part of your body. Continue to squeeze your PC muscles on the way in. Release on that exhale, rocking back and forth, indulging in this sensation on your own. We're going to do about 6 more of these breaths on your own. And do our last one. Empty your belly of breath, breathing in through your nose, contracting your Kegel muscles on that inhale, keeping it squeezed at the top, and then releasing it with a huge sigh on that exhale. Go ahead and bring your hands back to your lap, keeping your eyes closed, allowing for your breath to come back to a normal state. You might feel some tingling sensations around your body. That's okay. It's normal to feel this way. Just go ahead and lay here or sit here and indulge in this pleasure and this sensation of relaxation in your body. Allow for a small grin, a warm smile to cross your face. And give yourself a moment of gratitude for bringing yourself here today, for giving yourself these 90 minutes to learn something new, to reconnect with yourself. Express some gratitude for yourself for making the decision to indulge in this space and to give yourself the opportunity to uncover your own spiritual gifts. Whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes and welcome us back into the room. Welcome back, folks. All right, I hope that you all enjoyed that. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling super tingly, which always feels really nice. So that concludes my workshop for sexual energy. If you would like to contact me, here is my Instagram handle and my website. I am currently open for enrollment for August. I'm packed on enrollment for one-on-one clients until August. But if this is something, if sex coaching is something that you're interested in talking about something that perhaps is heavy on your mind that you feel like you could use some support on, please feel free to message me on Instagram. Please feel free to visit my website and check out all of the services that I provide. I'm also going to start doing something very similar to what Michelle is doing and provide a space like this where we can focus on topics specifically related to sex, sexuality, dating, romance, relationships, and all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me be here. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I'll stick around for a few more minutes for a Q&A, and I hope that you have some questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Yeah, so I just added the details on the chat there. And yeah, once again, uncovering spiritual gifts is really about creating a space for opening up whatever spiritual gifts that you have been given, whether they are psychic gifts, whether they're sexual gifts, whether it is living in your lower chakras, if it's living in your higher chakras, whatever that means. But this is the ability to open up a space so you can live in your integrity, in your sexual energy, your spiritual energy, your psychic energy, your whatever integrity means to you. So yeah, we'll leave this open now. We've allotted plenty of time for questions. So I will, I'm thinking if I should continue to record this part.
I think you could stop the recording so people want to like
Yeah.
show their face and
I
ask
think so
questions.
too. So yeah, thank you again. So I'm just going to say a quick thank you for this is the for this portion. So thank you again for coming. Uncovering Spiritual Gifts we have every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern as a chance to come together and connect, meditate, and also work within different chakra centers every week. Also work within astrology. In 2 weeks, we have Uncovering Your Spiritual Gifts in Astrogeography. 2 weeks after that, we have Uncovering Spiritual Gifts in Master Manifestation. And then we have a lot more topics coming up like EMDR, We'll have magic mushrooms coming back. We'll have ayahuasca coming back. So keep posted on meetup.com. Jocelyn, thank you again for joining us today. And I hope if there is any extra suggestions, questions, that you can message me directly on meetup.com. So thank you, and we'll move over to questions. Let me stop recording.